Name something people take with them to the beach.
Turkey.
The first thing you buy in a supermarket.
Turkey.
A food often stuffed.
Turkey.
It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
I am Des Clark and this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. And once again, we're joined by some of the best comedians in the country. On my right, we have Josie Long and Christopher MacArthur-Boyd. And facing off against them are Ed Patrick and Karen Bartke. In the news this week, in an annual tradition, a Norwegian Christmas tree has arrived in Trafalgar Square. It will stay up until Suella Braverman can have it deported. A couple from Devon have made history by becoming the first parents to baptise their child using a font made from Lego. The baby was given the name Aya after the vicar stood in a spare brick at the crucial moment. And Ian Blackford has stepped down as the leader of the SNP at Westminster after 5 years in the role. He says he no longer wants to be based in England in case they go on and win the World Cup. Right, you've met the panel. Let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where the teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Josie and Christopher, can you tell me what the first story in the mashup is?
Urgent action is needed to halt the decline of Scotland's
Christmas parties.
according to a new report. It was also found that every town should have their own
Pub chain
and long-term
staff who rely on hours and tips.
Yeah, I know that half of this is about a kind of reaction to the strikes that are going on, the rail strikes.
Yes, Josie, that's right. It is the news that with a number of train strikes due to take place throughout December and January, there have been warnings from the hospitality sector that the planned industrial action could ruin Christmas. Now, the dates to put in your calendar are the 13th and 14th, followed by the 16th and 17th, or if you're going by the Cadbury Heroes Advent calendar, the strikes are on Whisper, Twirl, Dairy Milk and Fudge. What about you, Christopher MacArthur-Boyd? Where do you stand in this? Are you supporting the staff?
You need these things because there's so many stuff that this country kind of takes for granted. But you look at America, they're having huge train strikes as well. They want 16 sick days a year is what they're asking for, and they're getting one sick day a year.
Oofed.
That's all they get over there. Sick days don't really exist in America. It's like a British thing. There's so many stuff that we have that we take for granted and don't realise we've fought for this in the past and we need to fight to keep it. Like the NHS or a functioning rail system or original recipe iron brew. Like we didn't know we had that until we lost it, you know?
What do you make about this then, Karen? Do you have support for the staff going on strike?
I absolutely do. One of my best mates is a nurse, another friend's a teacher, I know doctors, and if they all go on strike at the same time, we can finally have a night out, because you see, usually I work at the weekends, and they work during the week, and it's really hard to coordinate, so it's for me personally, it's really helpful if teachers and nurses, maybe rail staff, couple of postal workers all go out at the same time.
It's an interesting one. Everyone mentions strikes. I mean, the first thing is, is this going to affect me? And if the answer's no, then yes, I support them. That's the general feeling with strikes.
Josie, what do you think? What impact do you think it might have?
Well, what I would say is, did you guys know that every year on Christmas Eve, there's a train strike, which means you can't go from Glasgow to Kent? No, my parents don't know that either.
I kind of think we're seeing a lot of strikes at the moment. It's difficult to keep in touch with how many are going on. And I feel we need to adopt something that we're all familiar with. And I think we should adopt describing strikes like when we go bowling, so we know where we are. So, one strike, double strike, three strikes, turkey. So we all know that it's a turkey strike.
Three strikes, then a turkey. That basically is Christmas this year. Final thoughts on this with you, Ed. What would you go on strike for?
Well, I might actually be going on strike at some point as well, because just something to tell you about me as well, as I'm also a doctor, and I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say that. They're like, you're lying, you're not really a doctor, it's all an act. You just have to ignore those patients.
Yes, the festive season rail strikes is the correct answer. Josie and Christopher, well done. You get 2 points for that. Now to you, Ed and Karen, what was the other story we were after?
There was a report out recently about that the town centres are disappearing and declining, and that we really need to do something to bring them back to life and get everybody back in the town and just stoating about in the middle of the night in the town. I don't know why, but apparently it's important.
Well done, Karen. It is indeed the news that a group of MSPs have called for action to halt the decline of Scotland's town centres in a new report. What do you think, Josie? Have you seen a decline in your own town centre?
No, I mean, I live on the south side of Glasgow, so the only real sign of any decline is that there are lots of people like me coming up from London and talking too loudly. And I would like to apologise. It's definitely, an area that is undergoing some gentrification, and what I've noticed is, and I feel like this is a very specific reference, but the 3-course lunch at the Star Bar has gone up from like £1.95 to £4. Wow. That is inflation.
What?
Beyond, £4 for the 3-course lunch. Thank you. That to me is like one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. It's basically a gastropub now.
But what's the plan? How can we go forward here and get them back up to their old standards? Karen, what would be your plan to revitalise town centres?
So I have a 3-step plan. 1, we take all old buildings and turn them into adult soft play.
Brilliant.
Thank you. 2, Waitrose, because I like a Waitrose. 3, we institute middle-age zones, because everything is so designed for students at the moment that I feel very, very uncomfortable. So I would like a Blander Street, something with more muted colours, somewhere where only 80s and 90s music is on in the shops, and like specialist coffee shops where you're encouraged to talk about how difficult DIY is and how your medications are.
I think we need to use things that aren't being used anymore. So, we've all got phones that take photos and things like that. We're not using those photo booths anymore. They need revitalising. I think what we should do is, like, in every shop that's got one, we put a GP in there. And you get 4 questions for $12.50. And you can bundle in with your mates as well on the same seat. And you can all ask questions at the same time.
What about you, Christopher MacArthur Boyd? What is your plan to revitalise town centres?
The financial district in Glasgow, 85% of the offices are vacant. There's like loads of, nobody's in those offices. I used to have a job. I used to be like an amateur postman, kind of.
Amateur?
Yeah, an amateur.
Are you not a postman, or you're not a postman?
This was in the non-league postal service.
There was a fun run, right, in Glasgow, and they couldn't afford to send letters to all the offices and buildings and places. They couldn't afford the stamps, so they thought it would be cheaper just to pay me to deliver all these letters to like all the. And I went into all the offices in Glasgow, and most of them are like abandoned. They're like derelict because there's no need.
Do you think that's the case, or they just hid when they saw you coming?
That's that guy who says he's an amateur postman.
Well done for getting the right answer. Of course, sadly, the decline of town centres was correct. The High Street has been declared dead so many times that Sean Bean's going to play it in the movie. Well done, Ed and Karen. You get 2 points for that. It was indeed the mashup of festive rail strikes and calls to halt town centre decline. And at the end of that round, well done, it's all square! Now, much of our news is about public opinion, so this week to find out what people are talking about, we've spoken to actor and writer Manjot Sumal and broadcaster Shireen Nanjiani. So, Ed and Karen, what story do you think Manjot is on about here?
Even though it had nothing to do with the work I was doing and the quality of work that I was producing, I was told that it would create a better team dynamic. To be honest, I'm a little bit socially awkward, so I, in this situation, would have felt very uncomfortable. So yeah, I sympathise with Mr. T over this, and mad props to him for doing it.
Is it the story about trying to improve the workplace by having more fun there?
Yeah, it is indeed the news that France's highest court has ruled that a man who was fired by a Paris-based consulting firm for allegedly not being fun enough at work was wrongfully dismissed. The employee was only referred to in court documents, as we heard, as Mr. T. He said that he wasn't angry at his former employers, he just pitied the fools.
You should be ashamed.
Christopher, what do you think about this then? Should people be forced to have fun at work?
No. I'm one of the least fun people I know. I'm just like a wee cloud floating about. I don't like having fun. See, like birthdays and New Year and all that type of stuff. I hate enforced fun. I'm on Mr. T's side.
So you don't like fun in any scenario, yet decided to become a stand-up comedian?
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of based on the concept of like emotional labour, this, isn't it? There's like an idea that you have the labour that's in your job description, but then you're part of your job, you also have the emotional labour of like dealing with your boss and like dealing with your other co-workers telling you about like their families and stuff, that you don't get paid for that, but it's part of your job.
You said you liked hearing about my kids.
What would make the workplace more fun?
So I have to be really honest, I actually love my job, so I find my job quite fun already. But when I used to work in an office, totally, I would have gone with Lego Tuesdays, an afternoon nap, and a story, and enforcing the requirement to do the pretending you're going downstairs every time you went past the baffle board.
Yes. All of that work. That's great. So obviously we're talking about having fun in the workplace, but what's the least fun place you've ever worked?
So when I was 14 years old, my mum was like, you've got to get a job. And at the time, I looked in the paper and I saw this thing that was like, you can earn loads of money selling double glazing. And I was like, well, as a 14-year-old, I'm perfect for advising people about their double glazing and the experience I've had in my life. And I showed up. The guy sort of gave us this little training and then took us out. He took us onto the street where my first boyfriend, who I can remember the full name of, lived, and he dumped me. I had to knock on his parents' door and be like, are you interested in double glazing? How's Matthew? Tell him I called by. I've got a job now. So he's really regretting it.
Ingrained in my memory is a place that I worked, and basically it happened when I just got qualified as a doctor. I just got the name DR in front of my name, the DR, and then I was so full of confidence, thought I can do anything, and I was in a clinic where I was with a consultant who said to me, Ed, do you want to examine this man's testicles? And I didn't want to, but I also didn't want to sound negative either, so I overcompensated and I said, oh, I'd absolutely love to. And I realised at that moment, I'd never done this examination before. Like, I'd done it on the Thomas the Testicle model, right? On a table, right? That's at table height. Now, I don't know if you've seen testicles out in the wild. They're a lower hanging fruit, aren't they? They're not there. And they were stood just there, and I didn't know that the consultant was expecting me to ask them to lie down. I thought they wanted me to do it whilst they were stood up. So I did something that you should never, ever do. I got on my knees.
And this is the first time I've seen Ed since that day. Christopher, let's remind ourselves of the question. Where's the least fun place you've ever worked?
I used to be an amateur postman. That was my...
A Frenchman winning the right not to be fun at work is the right answer. 2 points go to Ed and Karen. Right, Josie and Christopher, what do you think Shireen is talking about here?
I've got friends who absolutely love it, but they are hardy Scots. I get that it was really popular during the pandemic, but this time of year, the symptoms include shivering, slurred speech and tiredness or confusion, pale, cold and dry skin. Sounds like most Scots in winter to me.
Is it wild swimming? People are going swimming wildly.
Yes, the right answer is, of course, a London Lido has urged swimmers to spend less time in the water after seeing at least one case of hypothermia a day over the past week. Of course, the best way to check the temperature of the water is to dip in your big toe. And if you don't have a big toe, that means it was too cold last time. So, Christopher, you gave us the right answer. Are you a big fan of outdoor swimming?
Nah, I don't really like outdoor swimming because I can't swim.
What about you, Josie? Are you a fan of outdoor swimming?
I absolutely love it. It's like being slapped all over. But in a good way. I love it, and I love doing it in Scotland because people look at you like you're absolutely bonkers. Like you'll be off the coast of Ayrshire and you have these golfers looking at you, and I'll be like, I'm like an otter. And they'll be like, you're nothing like an otter.
Karen, what do you think about this? Are you a fan of outdoor swimming?
I live with my mum, who is over 70, so I'm now incapable of living in any temperature lower than a lizard tank.
So it's not for you, that's fair to say.
No.
What about you, Ed? Are you a fan of outdoor swimming?
Sometimes. I used to live in Aberdeen for 5 years, and it was one of the main sports there. And I remember going in on a winter's day, snow everywhere, wearing budgie smugglers, and coming out, and they weren't smuggling anything.
So obviously we're talking about outdoor swimming and the fact that people get in trouble, they get cases of hypothermia, which are on the rise. Why don't people heed the warnings, Christopher?
I don't know. You need to be daft to do it in the first place.
Josie's right there.
Sorry.
Josie, I will hand this one to you. What is the coldest that you have ever been?
So I should say that I do love cold water swimming, and I do recommend it, but I did almost die of hypothermia. And it's because me and a friend of mine, who's a Scottish musician, he's fantastic, he's called the Pictish Trail. We were on tour together about 12 years ago, and we decided that we were going to go for a swim in a lake in Yorkshire in November as part of the tour. And we swam out, and it was freezing, and we were sort of trying to be... So you have to be slow with your breathing, you can't let yourself go into shock, you have to try and enjoy it. And we swam out to the middle of the lake, and I remember saying to him, God, it's so funny, because when we got in, this was freezing, and now it's so warm, and I just feel so relaxed, like I want to go to sleep. And then we were both like, yeah. And then suddenly we were like, ah. And so then we just had to turn and like race back. My hands were like cramped up. Took us like all day to kind of re-warm up. So like, you know, yeah, it's not without the risk.
No. Let's go back to question 2. Why don't people heed the warnings? There we go, hypothermia warnings to outdoor swimmers. That is the right answer, and 2 points goes to Josie and Christopher. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who is in the news. So I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. So Josie and Christopher, you're up first this time. Who is this?
I train in Scotland. I've been brought up in Scotland. And to have this medal, I just really hope that can inspire a few more Scottish people to be involved in sport and hopefully receive more medals down the line.
I think it's Laura Muir.
Yes, it is indeed athlete Laura Muir, who's had a street named after her in her hometown of Milnathort in Kinrossshire. Laura Muir, of course, isn't the first Scottish sports star to have somewhere named after them. Chris Hoy has got his own velodrome, Alex Ferguson has his own stand at Old Trafford, and runner Eric Liddell has his own budget supermarket. What do you think, Christopher MacArthur Boyd? Laura Muir having a street named after her. Are you happy to see her recognised like this?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's cool. It's just you need to put up a plaque to explain who the person is. Because I remember I used to go to the Pizza Hut at Nelson Mandela Place, and I didn't know who he was because I was born in 1993. So, you know, didn't know what was going on. Apartheid, etc. I just saw Nelson Mandela as the Pizza Hut guy for years, you know. Now he's the Yo Sushi guy, you know?
It's how he wanted to be remembered. That's his legacy right there. Karen, what do you think about Laura Muir, one of our star athletes? Are you happy to see her recognised in this way?
No, I'm really chuffed. I think it's amazing, and I think we don't appreciate how many fantastic sports people we've created. You know, I don't know why there aren't places named after Andy Murray, for example. I know he's got post boxes in his area, but
you're right.
But they're not. They don't have his name on them.
No.
You know.
I think they tried Murrayfield, but it was gone.
I know.
Now, Laura Muir says she hopes this will inspire kids in the area. How can we inspire future Scottish Olympians?
So I think you should make it a clear pathway to getting something named after you. You know, so like no matter what, it's like a contract. It's like, right, if you get the gold, they're going to rename Kilmarnock Jeff Stevens. Right?
Amazing. Well, look, that's inspiration to athletes, young people listening all across Scotland. If you win the gold, Edinburgh could now be called Brian McLafferty.
Wouldn't it be amazing if there is like a little boy out there called Brian McLafferty and he's suddenly gone, an Olympic dream is born!
Could they take this one step further? I like being able to sort of name streets, but could you say to them, look, you could, if you win, you can name a street anything you want? And then basically, like, 'cause you know how dads like to sort of talk seriously about the roads and all the sat-navs and stuff would have to calibrate and stuff. So you'd be like, so you want to take the Boaty motorway, go off to Steeman Street and take the exit to Ballbag. That would be... I think that would inspire the next generation.
Yes, 2 points go to Josie and Christopher. That was indeed Scottish athlete Laura Muir. Right, Ed and Karen, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
I've learned basically if you try and cook anything and burn it over a fire long enough, it all tastes basically like a badly cooked Scout sausage.
I mean, I'm going to guess Bear Grylls.
It is indeed Bear Grylls, who this week revealed that he's renamed his alarm clock to avoid negative connotations. He now calls it an opportunity clock. Yes, and if you hear a loud bell going off during this recording, don't worry, that's just the fire opportunity. So, Karen, do you agree with Bear's philosophy?
To an extent, I'm not convinced, I suppose, much like the fire opportunity. You know, I don't think renaming diarrhoea to extremely efficient poop. You know, I don't feel that that's necessarily helping.
I think people accuse Bear Grylls of being fake as well, and I actually never doubt him, but doing research for this show, I found out that he's not even a real bear.
Disgusting.
I hate him. I refuse to respect the philosophy of anybody who drinks their own pee. He's always like, oh, I'm so thirsty. Yeah. I need to drink my own pee. And then I can see a river in the background, man. You don't need to drink your own pee. You choose to.
Bear Grylls says his family take the mickey out of him for this. What does your family slag you off for?
I have to be honest, my family are a bit cautious of slagging me off just this weather because I've just changed my HRT. They're not really sure how I might react, so everybody's being a wee bit cautious around me, but they're being very nice about it. They're not calling it perimenopausal mood swings, they're calling it an emotional adventure.
What about you, Christopher? We've got Bear Grylls saying his family take the mickey out of him for this. What does your family slag you off for?
2006 in the Lake District. And me and my mum, my dad, and my granny, my granda, and one of my aunties, and my uncle, my cousin, we were in Keswick, near the Pencil Museum. And we were on a walk, and we went into a hotel, and for a laugh, you know me, stand-up comedian now, I like a laugh, I like a joke, I like to have a fun time. As a joke, I opened the menu and I said, oh, I think I'd like to have the trout. You know, it's not my best bit I've ever done. Honestly, that was 16 years ago. Every family gathering, like, oh, Christopher's going to get the trout, isn't he? Oh, you want a trout for Christmas now? Oh, it's your birthday? Oh, we better get you a trout. I hate them.
My uncle has a similar positive outlook to Bear Grylls. He told us it's likely he'll soon be going to undertake a period of Spartan inner reflection and self-improvement, which negative-minded people might call the jail. Of course, Bear Grylls is the right answer, and 2 points goes to Ed and Karen. And it's time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
Get on and do it.
That's Bonnie Tyler there, clearly sick of holding out for a hero any longer. Fingers on your buzzers, here we go. Over half of people would rather not what? Christopher?
Admit that they don't taste the difference in the recipe for Iron Bruce change.
Over half of people would rather not what? Ed?
Call their alarm clock an opportunity clock.
It's something else from the news we're looking for. Over half of people would rather not what? Karen?
Have Ed give them a testicular examination.
Over half of people would rather not what? Josie?
Is it simply have a wonderful Christmas time?
The answer is this. Over half of people would rather not buy something if it meant using cash.
Get on and do it.
Oh, there we go. That's the klaxon. Bonnie has Tyler. It means it's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Josie Long and Christopher MacArthur, boys! And commiserations to Ed Patrick and Karen Barkey! And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news just in. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors have voted to allow police to use remote-controlled robots that can kill, adding a real level of jeopardy to the question, who's got the remote? An Inverness woman has been ironing crisp packets to turn into blankets to hand out this winter. Anybody lucky enough to receive one is guaranteed to have toasty knickknacks. And the Grand Theft Auto series has turned 25. The violent crime game was designed in Dundee when the designers wanted a bit of light-hearted escapism. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!
Name something people take with them to the beach. You said... The answer was... The first thing you buy in a supermarket. The answer was... and the survey gave you... a food often stuffed, you said. And that gave you... 21!